Welcome, everybody, to the inaugural District 35 Pathways Onboarding Training. We have had a lot of requests from clubs for information, how to get people going in Toastmasters, how to get them into Pathways, that sort of thing. And we are doing this as a district. We are planning to do at least three more of these events this year. The schedule will be a little bit intermittent, and it will be announced on the district website. It'll be in the weekly news. If you're not getting the weekly news, make sure you set your Toastmasters email address to something that is not it doesn't have an aggressive spam filter. Let's put it that way. So we will be announcing these things. And the whole idea here is that we're going to do an onboarding which is club neutral. So we're not going to be teaching people the specifics of any individual club or any individual, person's methodology. We're just going to try to give a general introduction to Toastmasters and a quick high-level introduction to how to get into your project and do something in Pathways, because that's an area that a lot of people have mentioned having challenges with. Our hope is that this is not going to replace club level onboarding. In fact, our hope is that clubs will see this and say, I can do that too, and that they'll start doing their own. If you would like a copy of the slide deck for this, we will happily get you the PowerPoint for this. So with that, we will get everything started here. Up first, we have one of our past district directors, Ms. Teri McGergor, and Teri is going to run us through a little bit about what Toastmasters is, how it works, and how everything goes. So, Teri, you want to take it away?
I'd love to. Thank you, Robert. Thanks for having me tonight. I'm really excited to be here and share this information with you. We're starting off with a little bit about the history of the organization and some organizational information, because you, as a new member, are going to hear from Toastmasters International. You may get an email, you may come across it on social media. We may reference it in some of the announcements that we're making in what Robert already mentioned, the weekly news or a newsletter. And we want you to be aware of what that is and have a foundational knowledge of the organization that you just joined. So that's what I'm going to go over briefly with you. I would also encourage you to participate, ask questions. You don't have to wait till the end. We do have Q&A time built in, but you don't have to wait till the end. So if you see something and you have a question, shout it out, put it in the chat, and we will get those answered for you as we go along. So this is our agenda this evening, and I'm just going to get started with Toastmasters history. And Rhonda Borowski, you stole my thunder. Yes, we are almost 100 years old. Toastmasters International is a nonprofit education organization, and we help each other learn and teach public speaking and leadership skills through a worldwide network of clubs. So all of you joined a club, and that is your experience in Toastmasters. And we were founded in October of 1924. So here in just a few short weeks, we are going to celebrate our 99th year as an organization. The picture you see here is of Ralph Smedley. He is the founder of Toastmasters. He held his first meeting on October 22nd, 1924. It was held at a YMCA in Santa Ana, California, and it involved about 24 men. I say that because women were not allowed to be members, and membership was not open to women until 1973. And it was just a few short years later, 1985, that we had our first female president, Helen Blanchard. So up until 1935, we were just in the United States, but in 1935, we opened chartered our first club in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. So we officially became an international organization that year. There's a picture here of the very first YMCA where the first meeting was held, the black and white photo. The color photo is a picture of our current world headquarters, which is located in Inglewood, Colorado. And as a new member, you join a lot of people. We have approximately 280,000 members in more than 14,000 clubs across 144 countries. So you are not alone. You are among very good company. So what is the mission of Toastmasters? Toastmasters' mission is we empower individuals to become more effective communicators and leaders. Now, as a district, which we're going to talk about here in just a few minutes, but our district mission is to build new clubs and support all clubs in achieving excellence. And hopefully you've all seen at least once the club mission. I know a lot of you have this memorized. Who wants to read it for me or say it from memory? Rhonda, I saw your hand shout up first.
We provide a supportive and positive learning environment in which every member gets to develop communication and leadership skills, which in turn foster self-confidence and personal growth.
That's right. So as a club member, you've seen this or you've recited it or you've heard someone else say this, but that is the club mission, supporting a supportive and positive learning experience. And as a district, we support the clubs in providing that experience for you. So how do we do this? What's our foundation for that is the core values. So Toastmasters International has core values, and they are integrity, respect, service, and excellence in that order. So integrity, we do everything, every decision that we make, every activity that we embark on is with the greatest of integrity, right? We're doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do. And we respect everyone who is a member of Toastmasters as, you know, as we would respect anyone else in the ideas that they bring, the speeches they give, the feedback they give. And then service, this is a volunteer organization. So members, club officers, district officers, we are all volunteers, and that is the service part of our core values. We're giving back to the organization. And then always striving for excellence. We heard the word excellence, right, in the missions of that we just reviewed. So those are the core values. And if someone asks you what order they are in, this is the right order. Integrity first, respect, service, and excellence. So new members, you are, I said it before, 144 countries. You are part of something big. This is all of the color you see on this map. We have representation in the form of clubs located all across the globe. So where do you fit in? Well, you might hear it, District 35. You might get an email from us that says District 35. Our website, district35.org. But what does that mean? District 35, you'll see this is the map of the United States, and we are right here at the top. We cover all of Wisconsin. We have 80 clubs throughout the entire state of Wisconsin and the western portion of the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. You can see here's our look at us by the numbers. So we have roughly 1,200 members across District 35. This includes paid members. So we're right in the middle of dues renewal, right? That's happening right now. So if you know someone who hasn't paid their dues, help us move this number up by reminding them to pay their dues by Saturday. We have 80 clubs. Now, how the district, we manage that, we are broken up into divisions and areas. Right now, we have 19 areas, 6 divisions, all make up part of District 35, and we are part of Region 5. And there are 14 regions, am I right? 13. 14?
14.
14, thank you. So we are number 5 of 14 regions throughout the world. Now, the next few things, we're going to talk about the divisions a little bit, and I'm bringing that up because you're going to hear the word division throughout your tenure as a member. You might hear division director, you might hear division contest, division council meeting. Division is, if you take District 35, we have 6. It's broken up into 6 different areas throughout that, the 2 states. And really, this is, I don't expect you to have this memorized or remember this, but if you hear the word division, just know that that is part of Toastmasters. Division A, Division F, and Division D are all Milwaukee and Southeast Wisconsin. Central Division is like Madison and Western Wisconsin. Eastern Division covers the UP through all the eastern side of the Wisconsin down to Milwaukee, Sheboygan area. And then our Northern Division covers the north and central and northwest part of the state. Some people you might hear from who represent the district. We have our trio. So the trio, we consider the top 3 officers that kind of manage the day-to-day business of the entire district. And so I'm going to introduce the trio and let them speak briefly about what they do in their role. Our first one is Jason Feucht. He is our district director. Jason.
Hi, Teri. Thanks, everyone. As district director, I'm basically for lack of a better word, CEO and leader of leaders of the district. So it's my job to work with the other trio members and all of the other district leaders to help support the clubs and help all clubs achieve excellence across using the district mission as our guideline. So there's a lot of administrative things that go on with that. We have budgets and finances and all sorts of fun things like that, as well as meetings. It's a great opportunity to learn and grow. I've learned a great deal in my time in district leadership, and it's a real privilege to be leading the district this term. And I'll give things back to Teri.
All right. Thank you, Jason. I like the way you put it, CEO. Robert is up next. He is our program quality director. Robert.
Awesome. Thanks, Teri. So if you think of the district leadership kind of like a club, right? It's like a club on steroids. I would be the VPE of the district. I handle the training programs and I handle the contests and all that sort of thing. The job of the program quality director is pretty broad, but I'm responsible for helping every club in the district figure out how to put on quality meetings, have a good education program, and do all the training and all that sort of stuff that makes that happen. So yeah, like I said, if Jason is kind of the district president, I'm the district VPE. Back to you, Teri.
Well said. Thank you, Robert. And rounding out our trio is Theresa Flynn, who is our club growth director. Theresa.
Thanks, Teri. If we're going to keep going with this club motif, I'm kind of the vice president of membership, somewhat of the treasurer, and the vice president of PR, because I encourage clubs to take on all those different roles, bring new people into Toastmasters, and publicize Toastmasters as a whole. I get to work with Teri McGergor, who is also our VPM, or PRM, our manager of PR. And I also get to work with other members of our district to make sure that all clubs are supported as they reach out to new people and grow. I also develop new clubs. Right now we have 80 clubs. I would love to develop additional clubs throughout multiple counties in the state of Wisconsin and the Upper Peninsula. And if you'd like to help me, let me know. Teri?
All right. Thank you, Theresa. So that's the top three. If you ever hear us say the trio, top three, those are the three people that we're speaking of. Don't be alarmed if you get an email from them. It is not spam. It's legit Toastmaster business. And just like Robert said and Theresa, the district administration team is much like that of the club administration team, the club officer team, if you will. So rounding out that team, we have an administration manager, similar to the club secretary, who keeps all of us. Oh, and there's Chris. Chris, do you want to share a little bit about what you do as our club or as our district administration manager?
Sure. I'm basically the district secretary. I attend our monthly DEC meetings. DEC, I think you guys mentioned it before, is our district executive committee. And that consists of all of our area and division directors plus the top 7. And I will keep track of the monthly minutes. I post them out on our district website. I'll also take the minutes from our district council meetings. We just had the one in September. We'll have another in April. And whatever other projects that Jason decides to assign to me, that's what I do. Thank you. Back to you, Teri.
All right, Chris, thank you. Lisa Els Powell is our finance manager. As Theresa said, I'm the public relations manager, and our immediate past district director, who serves as counsel to the administration team, is Jennifer Capicho. So like I said, the information that I just shared is really meant to give you a foundation of the organization that you just became a member of. And not that I expect you to memorize it, but if you hear or if you receive an email from me saying, hey, this is going on, you know, now you've seen it before, right? Oh yeah, I went to that meeting back in September and they're part of the admin team. Maybe I'll pay attention to this email, right? Not let it go to your spam or junk. So hopefully that gives you a good foundation. Are there any questions before I turn it over to Robert and we get into the Pathways education program? I do see in the chat some requests for the deck. So all the email addresses that are in there, I will make sure that that gets sent after the presentation this evening. And with that, I will turn it over to Robert.
Awesome. Thank you, Teri. So we are going to talk a little bit about pathways here, and I am going to do the world's fastest pathways run through because we want to get you out of here by 8 o'clock. And also, because when you're getting new people into the organization, I've found they do not need to know every little thing about pathways. They just want to know, okay, how do I get in here, find my project, download a copy, and get ready to give a speech. Ideally, we want people to be able to pop in, 5-10 minutes, figure things out, and then they can learn the rest as they go. Oddly enough, it's kind of like that speaking thing I've heard some organizations teach people to do. You do a little bit and you get better over time. Anyway, so we're going to talk just a little bit about the process of getting into everything, the process of navigating projects, and this little section of the video, this is not going to be a slide deck because that was one of my big gripes when Pathways rolled out, that it was all slides. I'm going to actually do a video walkthrough, and you can reference this for members of your club. So I should be able to share my screen in Firefox here. Let me see if I can get this up. Can everybody see this okay?
Yep. Yes, I can.
Okay, awesome. Let me see if I can get rid of my floating meeting controls. There we go. Awesome. So this is the Toastmasters login page. You get here by going to Toastmasters and clicking on the login button, and you get this. Obviously, I have my email and my super non-secure password, and I could just whack the login button here, and I would be logged in. If somebody has just joined your club, and they are trying to figure out how to get set up as their login. First time logging in, click here. If they open that up, it will tell them they need to reset their password. Because they already have a password, They just don't know it yet. So they need to reset it, and they can get all logged in to Toastmasters. So I'm just going to hit the login button here, and Toastmasters loves their CAPTCHA. So let me see if it lets me in on the one try. Awesome. Login in progress. Cool. So you log into Toastmasters. Member since August 1st, 2007. So it lets you know when they joined up. Your member number, they have a member number. This is relevant for certain things. This is where you find it when you get logged in. Most of the time, when someone logs in, they're going to be going to Basecamp. If they become a club officer, there will be Club Central down here for them. If they become a district officer, there's a District Central. Lots of cool links down there. But 99% of the time, they're going to be going to Basecamp. The one topic I do want to address super quickly before I get into the Basecamp and start talking about pathways proper is how to pick a path. Now, people will get a link to this, and the process of getting to this without following the link in a welcome email is a little bit weird, but trust me, they will get an email that sends them to a page like this. It's going to ask them for their first path, what language they want, and there used to be the option of print or digital. Now it's only digital. They still have to pick it. And then how would you like to select your learning path? You can take an assessment, which we are not going to do on the call here because it's a little bit long, but it can ask a whole bunch of questions and it can make some recommendations as to which path someone might want. Otherwise, you can just pick View All Path Options and continue. And it will soon bring up a screen that lists all of the possible learning paths. While we wait for my internet and or Toastmasters to figure out what's going on. There we go. So choose a path, compare and make your selection. You will see a number of these are grayed out for me. That's because I already have purchased them. They're already in my learning transcript. So they won't be able to pick that, but for a new member, these would all be available. You will also see there are a couple of paths that are no longer going to be available starting in the first half of 2024 because Toastmasters is working on a different pathways experience and they're revising some things. They are still available now, though, so if somebody wants those, make sure they grab them. But the vast majority of people who have just joined Toastmasters are probably going to want presentation mastery. And if there's any question, if people are confused by any of this, tell them to pick presentation mastery. Or alternatively, engaging humor, which is presentation mastery with one or two slightly different projects. They would go through the process, they would hit continue, and then it would offer them the opportunity to actually sign up for their path. For me, Toastmasters wants $20 because this would be another path for me. It would be in addition to the one that I get for free when I join. So that's the new path process. Back to Basecamp. So once somebody logs in, Toastmasters puts them on this page where they can go to Basecamp. And once they go into Basecamp, they will be able to pick their club. Again, most new people will only have one club. Some people who are more advanced will have multiple clubs here. They can pick which club they want to be using. And once they're into Basecamp, it will tell you to disable your pop-up blocker if it's enabled because that can goof with certain things in here. There's a couple different ways you can do this. Down here, it will say Paths and Learning, and there's your top few things down there. You can go in there. Or you can click into Paths and Learning, and then it will show you all of the paths. Do not be intimidated. I have way too much stuff in here. I'm just going to pop into Innovative Planning. Again, most people, when they first join, will only have one thing in here. I'm going to open the Innovative Planning curriculum, and this is what everybody wants to know. How do I get access to a project? How do I access my materials? This is super simple. It shows all of your levels over here, and it will default you to level 1 when you come in for the first time in a path. And the first project is the icebreaker. By the way, I do want to call out this screen may be slightly different for new members because Toastmasters, they revised level 1 slightly, but the first project is still the icebreaker. They have to activate it, and then they have to launch it. I tell people to think of it like you're enrolling in a college course, and then you're opening the college course. Activate is enrolling, launching is opening. So it pops open, and it takes just a minute for the training to come up. They could really use on-hold music for this. And actually, I don't think it's going to load any faster if I do the click here, but there we go. Okay, so once they go into the project, they will be presented with the project name, some friendly little graphics here, and a little button. The rule of thumb is that almost anything in this section of the screen that has a red color is clickable. The rule of thumb. So once they click the red button to begin, they will get a little bit of training. It will explain how to advance, and you just click the little arrow here to move on. There is always some sort of an introduction. It talks about the project. I'm not going to read through all of this because, again, I want this to just be quick. So you pop through, and you will always see a screen that says your assignment. So if there's any question as to what the purpose of this project is, it will literally tell you. The purpose of this project is overview. If you're ever confused as to what to do with a Pathways project, this will tell you what you're supposed to be doing. And again, remember I said red almost always means clickable? There's a project checklist that you can click here that pulls up the project checklist, and this gives you everything you need to know to be able to do this speech. Popping back to that screen, you would move through the project. And again, this is a little mini assessment, so you can fill in how you feel about these things when you begin, because they're going to give you a post-assessment when it's all said and done. And you can compare your results on the pre and the post. So you would submit that along, and then you would move on to the next screen. There is training. This can include videos. This can include various links to various things. So speech outline worksheets, project outline worksheets, all that sort of thing. There will be additional training. Sometimes there will be, remember I said red is clickable. There will be little mini slideshows on some of these screens you can click through. And there will be things like this where you can click on the different things and it pops up different tips and tactics and thoughts. Eventually, as you move through the project, you will wind up at a screen that says complete your assignment. It has the project checklist, and then you would click to the next screen. Your evaluation is where you stop. The training is done. Now you need to go give your speech. There is a link over here to, as far as I've been able to determine, every resource that was linked previously in this project is summarized here. There's even a button to print my project, which again pulls up another tab. This is the entire Pathways project for the icebreaker, worksheets and everything. It is 21 pages long, so it's pretty intense. Once you've given the speech and gotten the evaluation, then you have the post assessment, the assess your skills after, and once this is done, the project is complete. And then you move on to the next project. Now, some people find themselves wanting to just get a PDF and work on this, right? They don't want to actually go through all this Pathways stuff. So they get here, Icebreaker Level 1 project. Down here, you have this little quick jump menu. Remember, I said the section is always called Your Evaluation. So if you just want to get the PDF to download to your computer to work on, you go into your project, you activate it, you launch it, And then when you get this main screen, you just pop right on down here. You click on your evaluation. You click on print my project. You save this PDF, and you're off. Then just make sure to come back and do the post-project evaluation. So that's navigating the projects. Once you do the icebreaker and you do your next project and you do your next project, there's also a completion project. And this isn't really a project in the sense that it takes a lot of work, but it unlocks once you open these. You have to open it up, launch it, activate it, and then it basically just confirms that you've completed it. And then it gets kicked over to your club vice president of education, who marks it off as complete. It's really a pretty simple system once you get it figured out and once you get in there. The only other things I want to call out, once you get to higher levels, you'll see that it will say minimum required 3, total items 3, completed 0. One project will be required, but it will also say elective projects, minimum required 2, total items 13. So for this, you would need to complete the one project that's on this screen, and then again, minimum required 2 electives. So you would click into the view details, and you would activate, launch, and do whichever of these projects you want. You can activate and launch as many projects as you feel like, but you only have to complete 2 for level 3. Level 4 is the exact same thing, only you're picking one project out of a list. Level 5, you're picking one project, and then there is a path completion screen where there's a project that unlocks once you've done everything else. So that's the high-level, quick overview of Pathways. I realize there's a lot I've kind of gone through pretty quickly, but does anybody have any questions? Any questions? Going once, going twice. Awesome. Well, I am going to stop the share there. And like I said, the point of this is just to give you a quick run through of Pathways that you can use with new members. How do I get in? How do I found my project? How do I do my thing? And the next question that you are probably going to get is, well, what do I talk about? Because people need ideas for speeches. They don't think like Toastmasters. I was at a cookout with a bunch of Toastmasters this last summer, and we were joking around that this one person had this incredibly horrible event happen to him. And they were talking to someone else, and they said, well, at least I'll get a good speech out of it. And the other person didn't understand that at all. So she had to retell the story in a group where that made sense. But we have our Club Growth Director, Ms. Theresa Flynn, who is going to talk to us a little bit about getting some inspiration and getting creative with speech ideas. Theresa.
Thank you, Robert. I'm actually going to quickly put and it already failed. I'm going to quickly put a file in the chat. It's a way to keep track of some of the different projects that are available, because different paths have different projects. So I wanted to make sure people had the chance to take a look at a nice basic summary of what's out there. And then, because the bonus is that in Pathways, obviously some of it's pretty linear. If you go through, you've got your level 1, you've got your level 2, it's pretty straightforward. But there's also the ability to take a look at some of the resources ahead of the time that you need them. So if you're coming into Toastmasters and you're super anxious about speaking, maybe doing that icebreaker, talking about yourself, you're the expert, that's going to help you build your confidence. And then you move towards just about anything you want to talk about in a couple of the next speeches. It allows you to build that confidence by getting used to it. However, if you've been occasionally doing speeches and you're realizing that you really need to learn a lot more about AV aids, using Zoom and using screen share, what you can do is go find where the AV project is, pull up that information, and integrate that information as you do your level 1 and level 2 speeches. You can pull that extra information ahead of time. So then later on, when you're actually doing that project for real, you'll have better confidence because you will have applied that knowledge a little bit. I don't know about you, but sometimes running through things an extra time or two really helps me learn. So level 1, your first few speeches are pretty wide open. You've got your level 1 is your icebreaker. You're talking about yourself, about things that are super important to you. You're talking about a lot more options that you may not have really wanted to narrow down. But in level 1, what will happen is, let me just pull this up really quick. In level 1, then you'll have writing a speech with purpose, introduction to vocal variety and body language, and evaluation and feedback. And those are 3 projects, but they're really broad. They're not going to narrow you down to a specific topic, but it gives you a little bit of an idea. If you're doing introduction to vocal variety and body language, you might want to try something with a need for bigger movements or a broader spectrum in your vocal variety, using different voices, storytelling. If you're writing a speech with a purpose, again, you've got a lot of opportunity for different topics, but you might want to aim at something that it's a specific detailed story, it's a specific detailed set of facts that you want to inform or maybe convince people. When you want to share specific information, and instead of starting with the Pathways project and then figuring out what topic you want, if you know you have these topics and you want to figure out how they'll fit best, that's also an opportunity. If you start out and you want to talk about your vacation, you have the opportunity to use almost any of those projects, and you can use audiovisual aids, you can use screenshots, you can share your screen to show your vacation photos, you can use all sorts of different additional tools while you're talking about your vacation. If you are working in a professional environment and you need to learn how to deliver information in a specific way, you can integrate those goals into your level 1 and level 2 speeches. But again, for a lot of them, the topic is wide open. Evaluation and feedback, you could actually give the same speech twice. You give the speech, you get feedback, you give the speech again, sharing that feedback to see if you've integrated all that great information. If you are in level 2, now you get into some of the specifics, and there are topics like understanding your leadership style and your communication style and mentoring. And that sounds a little intimidating. If you just started in Toastmasters, how do you know what your leadership style is? You haven't even been an officer yet. Well, the fact is, you've been a leader in the past. Perhaps in high school, you led a committee to decorate for prom. Perhaps at work, you have stepped up and helped people learn all the new software. You've done leadership in other places. Thinking about your past experiences, not in Toastmasters, can be used in those specific speeches. If you are doing a speech on mentoring, well, I've been in mentoring programs. I signed up for mentoring programs at work, and frankly, they didn't go well. However, looking back, I've had mentors in real life. They didn't involve signing up at work. My grandmother taught me how to sew. My mom showed me how to have a strong work ethic. My kid shows me how to work well with others. And all of these different mentors are people that gave me a whole new skill set. And I can talk about these mentors as I talk about mentoring. And they're not Toastmasters, but they're people who helped me develop new skills. As you read the material in your Toastmasters project, let your mind think about where you've experienced some of this in the past. It doesn't have to be in Toastmasters, and it certainly doesn't have to be in the last year in your professional experience. You've got a whole year, you've got your whole life of experience to cover all of these speeches. Thinking ahead, if you want to tell stories, you can tell stories. If you want to integrate humor, you can do that. If you need to learn how to share information to convince people, those are all ways that we can learn using different Toastmasters projects. If you need to just sit down and brainstorm, we can figure out a way to assign different topics to some of these different projects because they'll fit a little better. If you want to talk about economics, it might not work for your icebreaker speech. On the other hand, if you want to talk about growing up when you would visit your grandparents, that would definitely fit in your icebreaker speech. You've got a lot of flexibility. Some people were asking a little bit about trying to go with what was it? It was using audiovisual aids. And frequently, your club, if your club is either hybrid or virtual, somebody in your club might have additional information. And Zoom has the free option. So if you just create your own account, you give yourself a 20-minute window and you practice sharing your screen, that can really help you be a little bit more comfortable. If you work in pairs with other people in your club, that's also an option. So, and somebody's asking about examples of vocal variety. So again, that's going to be one of the specific projects that's in level 1, Introduction to Vocal Variety and Body Language. So you would click into the project, you would pull up the information, you could read through the material. It'll talk a little bit about pacing, about pitch, about speed, about accent and pronunciation, because knowing your audience and delivering to your audience has to do with your vocal variety. If you're in a huge auditorium, you're going to want to speak more slowly to make sure that the information gets out there and it isn't an acoustics issue with a really fast delivery. If you're telling a story with lots of different characters, you might want to use different pitches, different accents to differentiate among the people who are speaking. But vocal variety does affect almost any type of speech you're going to do. And as you deliver those speeches, vocal variety is one of the things that are listed on the back of our evaluation sheets. And they're definitely one of the ways that we can find to deliver that information in an even better manner. Again, lots of different opportunities for lots of different topics. If anybody wants to brainstorm specifics, I'd be happy to, but it's really a matter of read the material. Ideally, first you read the material and then you see what might be inspired by the material. If you have specific goals that encourage you to use visual aids or develop your storytelling a little bit more. You can focus on some of the additional skills in some of the projects and use them throughout your different Toastmasters projects. Basically, some projects are going to say, do not go over the quiz that you just took on your leadership style. Instead, tell us a story about how you developed your leadership style. How did you used to lead? Because you know what? I bet when you were in sandlot baseball, you might have led a little bit differently than you led when you were in college, than you led last month when you were helping at work. It's a growth process, and we have the chance to think a little bit about how we've changed and developed and share some of that with the people in our clubs. Thanks. I'm handing it back to Robert.
Awesome. Thanks, Theresa. Yeah, get creative with this stuff. I did one of the level 2 leadership style speeches about leadership lessons I learned from my dog, and it was fully compliant with the project. I've seen, just because I see her on the call, Barb Weisenberger was in my original home club, Chippewa Valley Toastmasters. She rehearsed the timings in a PowerPoint slide to the point where the PowerPoint slide was making jokes and snide comments in responses to things that she said. She had it just down perfectly. And so you can get creative and do weird things with this and still be in the focus of the project. That's the beautiful part about Toastmasters. The projects are what you need to be practicing, not what you need to be saying or how you need to be saying it, the vast majority of the time. So have fun with that. And with that, I believe that up next we're talking about leadership opportunities in and beyond the club. Teri, can you pull up that slide, and we'll hand it over to Mr. Jason Feucht, our district director.
Thank you, Robert.
Yep, and I will get the slide ready. Thank you.
It's my privilege to talk a bit about leadership. I think it's kind of funny in some ways that we're talking about leadership now, because the tagline of Toastmasters is where leaders are made. And up to this point, I don't think we've even mentioned that and why that's a tagline in Toastmasters. And the idea of leadership in Toastmasters is taking that next step beyond the things that you're working on as a speaker. And leadership, in my view, starts fundamentally at the club with the roles that we take on in our meetings. And they all give us opportunities to practice different types of leadership skills that can then translate into things that can potentially help us professionally, that then lead into some of these more advanced things to help in more advanced ways. But fundamentally, the participation that we take in our meeting roles as Toastmaster, as counter and grammarian, as timer, as evaluator, they're all opportunities to work on different types of leadership skills. So as an counter, grammarian, or timer, you're focused very much on listening skills and being able to give brief, specific feedback related to ahs and ums and ers if you're the counter, or if you're the evaluator, what the speech is all about, or if you're the timer, how well we did on time. If you're the Toastmaster of the day, you're practicing the skill of leading an effective meeting. And I know, at least professionally, there's very few meetings I'm in that are truly effective meetings, and I always enjoy practicing, when I get to the privilege of leading a meeting at work, some of the things that we do in Toastmasters to help me be more effective. But the idea of practicing those leadership skills on a daily basis with those things that we do are some of the fundamental things that help you build different types of leadership skills through those experimental things that you're able to do. Then as you work beyond that, the idea of leadership is to help support your club and your club's members. So the first level of that is becoming a club officer and being or helping a club officer out. So you can be an assistant to any of these roles as well if you're interested in learning more about them. But your 7 club officers are really the people that help keep your club moving and alive in addition to its members. They're there to serve the members and help the club move forward, help make decisions. And as a member, it's a great opportunity to get involved in your club, to learn more about your club, and to give back to your club by taking on a club officer role. And they're The neat thing about all of the roles, like everything we talk about in Toastmasters, is everything's a learning opportunity. So you don't need to know how to be a sergeant at arms to be the sergeant at arms. You don't need to know how to be a vice president of public relations to be the vice president of public relations. Does it help to have some skills in some of these areas? Absolutely. But there are also great opportunities to learn, to grow, and to experiment with other new things as you're trying to learn and increase your own leadership skills as an individual. As you move through club leadership, you can potentially also, after you've served as a club leader, consider getting involved in area and division leadership, which is involved with district leadership. The next levels after club are the roles of area division directors. Area directors directly work with clubs to support those clubs, and they're the voice of the district, and they're out there as boots on the ground, helping the clubs understand what's going on from the district's perspective, but more importantly, feeding information, at least from my point of view as district director, feeding information from the clubs up to us at the district level so we understand what's going on. The areas, as Teri talked about, are grouped into divisions. The divisions are led by a division director. They're an opportunity to practice some of your leading other leader skills, where you're working with other people that you don't necessarily have direct authority over, but you have inferred authority, and you can work on practicing your influence without authority type skills and things like that. And then there are many other roles that you can work all the way up through the district and then beyond that, that practice different skills and as well can leverage different expertises or things that you already know or skills that you already have. If you have an interest in accounting or financial things, the district finance manager is a great role. That was my first district role, and I enjoyed that greatly because I spent some time in my younger days doing some accounting, and I said I can take on that role with some convincing, and I took on that role and learned a great deal. But there's a lot of opportunity out there, and the cool thing is we're all learning. I've said to my first district executive committee meeting this year as district director, one of the things I said to that team is, just like all of you, I've never been district director before. I'm learning about how to be a district director along with you as you're learning to be a program quality director, club growth director, area director, division director, club officer, all of those things. We're all here to learn, we're all here to grow. But there's a great opportunity as you work on leadership to experiment with leadership on different levels and in different ways. And it's really a great opportunity to flex some things like your speaking practice in an environment that's pretty safe, where you can make some mistakes, you can gain some skills that can help you professionally or personally in other ways. So I encourage people, do participate in your club meetings in the leadership roles that are part of your day-to-day meetings, but also as you work your way through your development in Toastmasters, to be part of the team and help run your clubs and the organization overall, because that's where some real personal development and some real personal reward can come. And with that, I will give things back to Robert and Teri.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jason. So we are almost at our time here. I just want to let you know I will at least commit to sticking around for a bit afterwards, as long as there are questions that need to be asked. So let's not worry about that if you have a question here. But I just want to summarize this whole last 55 minutes or so by saying that the whole point here is we want y'all to be doing Toastmasters. Some people join clubs and they never give a speech and they never volunteer for roles in meetings and then they quit, and I wonder what the point was. This is not the sort of organization that you join to sit and observe typically. It's the sort of organization where you really get out of it what you put into it. So if you're a newer member and you haven't gotten into Pathways and gotten your information and given a speech, get in there, get into your icebreaker or your second or third project in level 1. Download the PDFs if you don't want to spend time in the online system clicking around. Figure it out. Do something. And once you do something, then you'll get that really awesome written feedback form. You bring your evaluation to the meeting or you email the PDF to somebody and they'll give you the feedback. And this is structured in a way where it's really designed to be helpful. You did really good at this. You could use some work on this. To challenge yourself, try this. Those are the 3 questions on almost every Pathways evaluation form. So it gives you some really awesome feedback. Read the feedback, see what resonates with you, and do something with it for your next meeting. Again, you get out of it what you put into it. Nobody is judging you for being a questionable speaker, a questionable evaluator, whatever. They just want to see you get better, and that's where we all started. So I just encourage you to jump in with both feet. And if you're a club leader and you've been not doing orientations and you have some members that are having challenges, we've got a slide deck. Reach out, ask. Even if this is after the fact, reach out to me or Jason or Teri or Theresa. One of us will figure out how to get you the slide deck for this, and you can do this yourself. So anyway, this has been totally awesome. It is 3 minutes too, so I'm going to throw it open for questions with the proviso that I completely understand if everybody has to drop off at 8 o'clock. So does anybody have any questions?